So the last topic of this discussion is that the arcade and PSN titles. There's a lot of them out there. Some are much better than others. Some are absolutely awful pieces of shit. And then there's independent games, and those I think are a really cool idea. Though I would say 99% of them really suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just horrible shit. But what I do like about arcade games is I feel they're perfect kind of portable titles, even though it's not portable, but they're kind of titles you can jump on for 15 minutes, play, and then leave the house. And you feel like you accomplished a little something, but you don't feel like you're like, oh damn, I have to stop here, there's a checkpoint, or some shit like that. That's why I like arcade titles. But I also feel that arcade titles can sometimes surprise you with games like, well, I just played I Am Alive, and while it's not amazing, I felt that was definitely an interesting title, and it was something that was nice because the developers that were originally making it got shut down or they stopped making it, so it was basically going to be dead. But what happened? They gave it to a team who's like, okay, let's do it as an arcade title, won't take as much resources, and then we got the game. So I feel like it's a way to save some games that just aren't going to make production value. They don't have enough money to actually make it a full-fledged game. So that's why I like arcade titles. I also like them because they're cheap. You know, $15, you can't really complain, $10. And they're just really nice little titles, and I want to see more from them. I think that games like Journey are absolutely a brilliant idea, and I can't wait to actually play the game. But stuff like that is an excellent idea. That's cheap, but it can be really moving. It could be one of the best games this year. I think it's the second highest rated game this year. So stuff like that is just really awesome. So I like arcade games. Hope to see more in the next gen. I think they definitely pushed it this gen, and then we should see even more next gen, especially from like independent people.
Yeah, the problem. I don't have a problem with the games. I play a lot of indie games, but I think I often find that it's better to buy them on the PC rather than to go through the. I guess if you don't have the right PC or anything, but simply because on Steam they have a lot of sales, and it often the prices of the titles that you'll get on Xbox Live. Sort of, you'll be able, if you look at them on Xbox Live and then you go over to Steam, they'll have a sale on, or it'll be sort of £1-2, so equivalent of like $3, something like that. And you can pick it up there all the time. And I know a lot of the games are better with the controller, but it's easy enough to just more sale. So the original starting point is cheaper, and then you have the sales on Steam, which are often, and also you've got sort of other websites. You've got GOG that you can buy it from as well. So there's a bit more competition in the PC world of indie games and the arcade titles, so that's why I don't really buy them on Xbox. But I think all those types of games are great, and as you said, you often find a lot of my favourite games of last year were sort of indie titles and Xbox Live arcade titles. So and at the price point, you can't go wrong. And sometimes you don't want to play through a whole game. You know, some games you'll buy them and then you'll be sort of 5 hours into it and you'll just think, why did I bother buying this? Because you're not enjoying it. Whereas if you're paying a lot less money, and it's a shorter experience, so you know immediately if you're going to like it or not. And often it can be just, even though it's a shorter experience, it can be more sort of concentrated, and the excitement is more concentrated in that shorter period.
There's no filler really in arcade games.
Yeah. Exactly. And they also, the thing about it being cheap, you also have a demo for every single arcade title out there. So that gives you, incentive if you like the little demo to buy the game or not. Whereas full-fledged games you have to actually try out before you have to rent it or some way of trying it. Some of them don't have demos.
You'd think they'd have less substance to them, but like back when I had PlayStation Plus, all PlayStation Plus does basically is fire arcade games at you, like non-stop, like just here, take all of them. And I remember like getting Plants vs. Zombies, it's just sort of like halfway. It's not quite an arcade game, but it's certainly not really a full title. And I remember playing that for days. And then I remember buying like Lord of the Rings Conquest and playing it for like 20 minutes and being like, this is awful. Why did I pay money for it? I didn't even pay money for it, I borrowed it, and I still felt like I'd been robbed. And it's just like, so it's clear that it's a good medium, and that you can do some really good stuff with it. Like Dead Nation, I got huge mileage out of and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a really, really good idea for people who like, especially up-and-coming developers who don't have the time or the resources to make a full-fledged, AAA title. That have to start somewhere, and that's a good way to do it. Like PopCap made huge money off Plants vs. Zombies. So that's definitely a good way, especially for people who like only sort of more casual games and don't want to sit down and play for 4 hours at a time. Like you said, James, you can start like play for 20 minutes and you don't feel obliged to keep playing. You can leave it, and it's not like most of them aren't particularly story heavy. Except for maybe like Braid.
I was about to say, but some can tell an excellent story like Braid or even Limbo to some extent.
Yeah. I think the only problem I have with with those sort of games like the Plants vs Zombies kind of games that sometimes like you obviously really enjoy the titles when you play them, but then sort of the end of it you think, well, like what did I achieve out of that? Not that sort of the fact that these games don't have any story, like you sort of
they're not going to change you as a person. Sure.
Yeah, as in you want to. It's not going to be a game. Well, it might be a game that people are talking about in 10 years' time, but it's not something that you're going to. Again, it feels like a bit of an empty experience for me sometimes. You get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but then at the end of it, it's often like it's how I feel about Call of Duty online as well, multiplayer. Like, if you enjoy it, you sit down and you play and you enjoy it, and then you'll keep going back to it. But then when you think about it, you're not really getting anything out of it. There's no story, there's no progression. It's just sort of the same thing over and over again, which is good. It's all like if you're enjoying yourself, then why not play it? But that's why I like to stick to the more sort of story-driven indie games, like you said, The Braid and Limbo and titles like that. There's always a place for. Like you can always the thing is that you can just play you pop on, play half an hour, and then you're done, and you're not obliged to play longer. I think that's the main attraction with these games.
And that both of the game types exist. You know, if you want to have a deep sort of story and something that you think is a real good experience, you can have your Braid and your Limbo. But if you want to shoot, peas at the undead, you can do that too.
You got that. Yeah, exactly. So
sometimes you don't want to engage in a thing. You just want to, waste some finger muscles.
Have some mindless fun.
Exactly. So I think we all agree that arcade titles and standalone titles are a great addition to this generation, but at the same time with that we got this Day 1 DLC, which obviously nobody really likes, and then you got the On Disc DLC, which is absolutely just taking your money. So I think we all agree that we took some good with this gen with the DLC idea, and then we had to take some of the absolutely horrible fucking concepts that mostly Capcom, EA, and Activision have thought up.
Yeah.
So
you got the whole DRM thing as well.
Oh, fuck that shit.
Can't play Assassin's Creed if you're not online for some reason.
That is a whole nother story. That is like one of the worst fucking movies. Maybe we'll do one about that soon. But that is horrible. And online passes. But I guess that's it for now. We talked about all the DLC stuff that we could think of.
Yep.
And I hope you enjoyed. We all gave our opinion. Tell us what you think about Day 1 DLC, about arcade titles, about DLC on disc, and about arcade. Oh, did I say arcade? Yeah, I did. Yeah. Standalone games. There you go. Everybody have a good day, and enjoy the video.